Hey, how's it going, everyone? So, this is Anthony. Today is the 365th day, 1 year since I had COVID in 2020. So, September 26, 2020. Well, by the time you're seeing this video, it's probably the 27th. But I wanted to do a follow-up video for a couple of reasons. Nothing to state anything about vaccinations or anything, pros and cons of what you should or shouldn't do. I'm not here to give medical advice. What I am here to say is this. For the long haulers or those that didn't immediately get over COVID-19, regardless of what variant you had, what I am here to say is this, is that, I didn't think it was going to be this long. The struggle has been pretty real. It's been a year, right? I'd be lying to say that, it's been a short year. This has been the longest year of my life, right? And I've been able to manage, friendships, relationship with my own family, my wife and kids. It was a struggle. So the purpose of this video is I just want to share with you just some of the things I've been with, and I'm gonna try to make this less than 10 minutes, right? So it is Sunday night, and I should be in bed right now, but as you may have seen in my last video, I was really tired. Stayed up really tired about 1 o'clock. So today, at 1 to 2 o'clock, I did crash. So I came home from a friend's house, and I slept on. I've been hanging out in the garage because this is like my peace zone for the reef tanks and the cars and stuff I try to work on when I do have the energy. And I slept for a couple hours and just laid here till about 9 o'clock, and then I woke up. So that's why I'm awake now. So I just wanted to share this video for those out there that are dealing with long-term symptoms. Just know that you're not alone. I'm here to tell you a few things that I've kind of dealt with and how I've managed it. I had a pretty extreme case of COVID when I first got it, September 26, 2020. 11 days of fever of 103, 104. The only way I could suppress it was with Motrin. It was a struggle. I had an extreme headache. I had breathing problems. Oxygen level was okay. I did have viral pneumonia. I think it's called ground glass opacities. They found an X-ray, then did a CT scan with contrast to confirm that. Of course, sent me home in September. The ER doctor was like, "Hey, this is pretty new." Back in the day, so there wasn't really much they could give me other than Toradol through IV injection and kind of helped the headache, which it helped a little bit, not 100%. So sent me on my way. So just basically, the best recommendation I can give you is just always have a pulse oximeter on you and just monitor your blood O2 level. So recently in our friends and family circle, we've had people that kind of waited a little too long. They had breathing problems and they waited. Unfortunately for them, they waited too long, and by the time they did get admitted to the ER, they ended up going to the ICU and a ventilator. This is not here to scare you, but what I am here to tell you is that if you are concerned, then go to the ER, because the faster that you can identify that you have breathing issues and get to the ER, the better chances you're going to have to actual recovery, or full recovery. What percentage that is, I don't know. Again, I'm not going to state anything that's going to be fact. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professional, medical professional at any level. However, I have learned a lot in this past year because I've been to the doctor countless times. So enough about the pulse oximeter. I've had COVID now, not active COVID. I just want to clear that up. Active COVID meaning if you test positive for a PCR test, no swab, CVS, Walgreens, that would be an active COVID state where you're pretty much highly contagious, right? So what I'm dealing with now after a year is what they've kind of defined as long hauler, which is not an exact medical term. But what I have done, which my immunologist has stated that it's just not really documented, is throughout the course of the year, I have had several antibody tests just to kind of see what's going on. I was really fatigued. Since day one, I've been extremely tired. And what it boils down to is, since September, I thought I was doing pretty decent. And the reason why that was a little deceiving is because of how bad I had COVID. So like I said, on the 11th day, I had a fever, 103.7. I went to the ER on the 12th day, had the CT scan or X-ray, then CT scan with contrast. had the viral pneumonia, sent me on my way, had me told I was in the ER for 4 hours, and said, hey, unfortunately this is new, there's nothing that we can do for you, and that was it. So, what do they have today? I don't know, but usually viral pneumonia, there's nothing but time and monitoring and making sure it doesn't turn into bacterial pneumonia, which at that point, they say they can do some antibiotics, probably get you on a ventilator because likely your lungs would be filling up at that point with fluids, and that's usually when people have breathing issues and start going downhill. Not to scare you, but again, react on that faster, just quicker than you would in normal symptoms. Because as soon as you start having, breathing issues and your pulse oximeter is reading in the low 90s to high 80s, it's time to go to the ER. That I can say for a fact. So what have I been dealing with for the past 365 days? I will tell you this. Every single day, like I mentioned in the last video, there are some mornings that are worse than others. And I always wake up with sinus issues. Usually a lot of drainage, a little bit of coughing. But by the time I take all my meds, and I'm taking Sudafed, Motrin, a lot of vitamin D, a lot of multivitamins, and usually by 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., I'm pretty decent. But as soon as 12:30, 1 o'clock hits, I go downhill. I have a sinus burn. And when I try to explain to people, like, what do you mean? Like, even doctors are like, what do you mean your sinus burn? So when I had COVID, there wasn't any congestion, right? It was just like this sinus burn, and you can feel it in your head, and it was just like in your face. And so when I feel that, I say, yeah, this feels like COVID, right? So when it gets really bad, and it's usually once a month, I'll go get a test from CVS, which is a PCR nose swab test. It goes out to Quest or LabCorp, whoever, and that's the most accurate testing you can get to see if you actively have COVID. And usually you have to display some symptoms for it to come positive. But PCR test is a lot more accurate even if you don't have symptoms. The rapid test that you may get at home or the ER, 15-minute test, those are not as accurate. They're usually a little better when you have decent amount of symptoms like fever and your sinus stuff and headaches and body aches. So fast forward, here we are 12 months later, and I am still struggling with the daily fatigue. When I say I'm slightly anemic, it's on the low end, right? So what we've kind of discovered at this point, again, we are moving forward to trying to get me submitted to some of these research organizations. I live in Tampa, the Tampa area, so University of South Florida, USF is the first one he's referred me to. He's also referring me to Johns Hopkins up in Baltimore. I said I'd pay for the plane ticket. At this point, I'm desperate. What I really wanted to kind of touch on this video is the whole mental stability part of it. A lot of people that are watching this video may be looking at me saying, hey, you seem fine, right? But for the friends that have known me for at least 5 to 6 years, have definitely seen a decline. I've had a couple messages say, hey man, I've seen your videos, I haven't talked to you too much. You're definitely a different person. And every day that goes on, I'm so mentally aware of what my normal state is. And I see that, and it's very depressing. So when they say that it's caused mental illness and things you may research online to say that it affects you, the impact is at a mental state, it is, because your body and your brain can only sustain so much, right, of just discomfort. I'm a pretty strong individual, but after a year, and this past couple weeks have been pretty rough, I am reaching that point of just, I need a lot of strength, right? So I have really good friends. The ones that I've known a long time are the ones that have really reached out and said, hey man, you're not the same as you were before. I mean, yeah, I'm still funny and I crack jokes, but I have a lot of ups and downs, and unfortunately the new friends that I've met, they're not used to that. And so, I've been pretty, wild child, having fun, and it's just, but after this COVID thing, I've just been an up and down roller coaster. So I'm hot and cold. It's almost like you're bipolar. So have there been some mental instabilities? There has. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because you're not alone. So anybody that's dealing with this, that's long term, I don't like using the term long hauler. It's just long term effects where you just haven't fully recovered and haven't been 100%. I mean, even if you're 80%, you're still not there where you were before full recovery. You're going to start to see some issues, and it's normal, right? The best advice that I can give you is maybe see a psychiatrist, see what kind of meds they can have to kind of ease some of that stability, mentally. It's at that point it becomes mental health until you can figure out your immune system health, and those two together, if you can figure it out, then maybe there would be a cure to get 100%. I don't know, but what I will say is a public statement to everybody, every new friend and that I've had in the past couple of years, I'm sorry, right? And I hope that you truly understand that I'm not losing my shit on purpose. I'm not a bipolar person. It's just that when you deal with an illness that I'm dealing with for so long and you're so many ups and downs, naturally it starts affecting you mentally, right? So it has affected work. It has affected my engagement and intensity and just focus on work. I'm not how I used to be. And so, I share this with everybody because, so my thing I like to say is closed mouths don't get fed, right? So if you're in a situation where you're at work and you're not saying anything because, there's HIPAA things and things you don't have to share. And if you do, then you're disclosing it, right? It's voluntary. Nobody can ask you and pry for medical information. But I felt that it was very important to share this information because, if they're starting to see work degradation, it's better for them to know up front that, hey, he's dealing with a medical issue, vice, hey, you're fired because your work performance isn't great, right? I'm not at that level because I've been so transparent with my company. It's a phenomenal company. But I just want to say that I'm starting to see some mental changes, and it sucks. So am I going to go see a psychiatrist to see what we can combat at the same time and trying to figure out, what's going on with the immune system? Absolutely. But I make these videos because, there's all these support groups out there of long haulers and people that are concerned in the beginning. I wish I was at the beginning because then maybe I would approach things differently right afterwards. But there's so many unknowns. Even immunologists, their network. It's just there's so many research studies going on right now there's new information coming out, which is why if you go to CDC and all these various COVID websites, organizations, they're always changing. You may see something change 2 or 3 days ago, or a week or 2 weeks ago, or the guidelines. It's because it's just new information. So somebody like me that's getting submitted because it's a rare case that they don't see often, that would be one of those things where if it's important enough and it's rare enough, then they may change the scope of how they pass information. So again, the purpose of this video is I'm sorry. That's all I can say. My apologies if my personality's changed or it just doesn't fit to the person that you knew. It's a struggle, and just bear with me. And for the others that are out there that are struggling with the same thing and notice that their personality's changed and maybe friends have kind of looked at you different, just let them understand. Just say, hey, look, I'm going through some stuff right now, and there's documents out there. I can't reference anything off the top of my head, but I know that there have been research studies to say how it mentally affects people over time. So for me, it's been 1 year exactly today, that I first started seeing symptoms, and it has been nonstop for a year. I've had ups and downs. There's times where I've been happy, but I take a lot of medication. A lot of stuff's over the counter where I can do to combat it because there's nothing that they can really give you for COVID. Unless you're in the hospital and you have bacterial pneumonia and other things, which I don't have. So I truly hope that a lot of you can find help in this, and that there's some resolution to your specific sickness. For me, I think I have a little bit of a road ahead of me. A lot of research to have, going on. I still have more lab work to do in a few weeks, which is going to be followed by more lab work and more studying. So I'm just kind of putting this out there to let you guys know that you're not alone. For those of you that are dealing with COVID in the beginning, just know that there's a possibility that it could have long-term effects. And if there are long-term effects, you're not alone. So prayers to all of you that are dealing with this, ones that have lost family members. My condolences to you on that. Just know that it is serious. Me of all people, my friends know that, at first I was like, yeah, this whole thing's a joke. I'm no longer thinking like that. This thing's pretty serious, and it affects everybody differently. Some people, not so much. People like me that like catch rare stuff, well, that's where I'm at right now. So I hope you all have a good night, and that you got something out of this, and y'all take care and God bless.